The injury prevention and rehabilitation uses of power cranks. Users report.
Compared to what you used to do before power cranks, can you say that you're seeing either a little faster results in your rehab or a better quality results or both?
We're definitely seeing a better quality of rehab, and what I mean by that is when we reintroduce running after a surgery or after a significant injury with an athlete, they seem to do a lot better. And what I mean by that is having a lot less of a hitch or an antalgic gait or any type of deviation. They're able to bring their knee up with much more confidence as well as strength. As far as a faster result, it is faster in the sense that we can create an active rest period. And what I mean by that is while tissue is still healing, for example, in ACL, after ACL surgery, we can recreate the mechanics of running while we strengthen the muscles associated with it through a non-impact activity now with the power cranks.
I actually hairline fractured my pelvic bone in a crash at an X-Terra this year, and couldn't run for about a month. And I trained solely on power cranks when I was building myself back up, and it just strengthened my hip flexors enough to and just kind of mimic that motion of actually running. And I came back running much stronger. Won my first race that I was back at, and have been running great since. Really no hitches.
And I had an issue. I had injured being a track racer. I do a lot of free squats and lifting, and I'd injured my right quad and quadriceps in doing squats, free squats, and so it wouldn't heal for about 10 months. It was always sore, any ride over 50 miles. So then the power cranks was another reason I did that too. And I did that, and after 2 weeks on the power cranks, it was fine. It was all issues were gone.
Cool. How about have you had any athletes who have been injured? Have you seen it? Been using it in the injured guy?
Yeah, it's funny because I seem to have more success now with rehabbing people coming off of knee injuries than anything else. My record with guys with bad knees has been 100%, or with tendonitis and coming off of, I've had guys who've come off of broken legs, athletes off of broken legs, knee surgery, and this is one of the things that I put them on because, again, we go back to re-educating the body on the proper running action without having to run, so there's no impact. They can do it. They can strengthen the knee because of the strengthening aspects, conditioning aspects built into the cycling, and it's an all-around good sort of thing to help those guys bounce back a lot quicker without, when they go back to their running, having improper mechanics like limping and, breaking and a lot of the things that happen coming off an injury.
I was playing rugby last October, and after a rough tackle, I felt my ACL buckle. My running is faster than I was before my surgery, and I just imagined that if I didn't hurt my knee, I'd be even faster. My personal best for a 10K was about 48, and at 10K at the end of my last triathlon, I did in 39 minutes.
I had an Achilles injury this winter and did Ironman Arizona with the longest run of 2 hours. Because I was doing most of my run training on the power cranks, and just did a couple of sprints and knocked out some good times with no running, basically.
When we do the rehab, or a large amount of rehab for the Phoenix Fire Department, and in that we get a lot of knee injuries, a lot of hip injuries, and even ankle injuries. And these guys are athletes themselves. They're very active, and we need to keep them moving as much as possible. And for the most part, they want to be moving. So the power cranks, again, is a great tool for us to use with the knee rehabs, the ankle and the hip rehabs as well. And many firefighters want to get power cranks themselves.
I had back surgery about 9 years ago. I hurt my back during a training exercise, and I herniated L5-S1 disc. And I've had neurological problems in my right leg since. I still play sports and do everything, but I have a lot of compensation. And one of the issues that I've had is hip flexor weakness on my right side and foot drop on my right side. It's amazing how this tool requires both those muscles to fire. And in everything else that I do, I figure out a way to compensate, but this does not allow me to compensate. And that, even in 2 weeks, has made a huge difference for me.
It taxes our girls in the area that we need to work better on. For gymnasts, again, we do have a high incidence of ACL injuries, and so whatever we can do to help strengthen the hamstring, quadricep, ratios will vastly improve the chances of that not happening as often. And so we try to do as much as we can to strengthen the hamstrings, not to ignore them. And so this device, I feel, will help us at least address it and help prevent that.
You know, one of the great things, and we talk about the improvement in the cycling efficiency and the improvement in the run efficiency, one of the ways that we use power cranks too is for folks who typically they get us above a certain run volume and they begin to get injured. One of the things I've been able to do is cut their run volume in half, substitute the rest of that run volume on the power cranks. We avoid injury and we improve the run. So it's been a rehab tool as well as a way to get more cost versus or more benefit versus cost in terms of run volume for us.
For your injured athlete, it's a rehab tool, allows them to maintain their fitness while they rehab.
Exactly.
And for your healthy athlete, it's an injury prevention tool.
Exactly. Yes, and I've had some folks who have, they've had maybe a shin splint type injury or an Achilles type injury. That personally, that's how one of the ways that I got involved with power cranks was just reading the anecdotal stuff about how it seemed to help folks running. I got years and years ago an Achilles injury, got a pair of power cranks, put them on my cyclocross bike, left them indoors, and just did power cranks. And of course, like everybody, my first ride was like 8 minutes long, Right. And then ultimately built up to where I was riding 4 hours on the power cranks. And for me, the key it wasn't good enough just to ride 4 hours on power cranks. I wanted to ride 4 hours on power cranks at 90 RPMs. For me, cadence is the key when you want to affect the run. And came off after not having run for the months of February and March, and that was 2002. Had my best season ever.
Improvement I've seen most notably is I was out for a knee injury since Ironman Hawaii last year. And I had not been running, but I was using the power cranks. I was riding approximately 120 to 160 miles a week, and I chose to do some sprint triathlons in July. So after I was on the May, June, July, 2 months, and I found an improvement in 1 minute per mile of my 5K run. And that's with running about 2 to 4 miles a week.
And everyone has said that the power cranks are sort of like eating oatmeal. And what I mean by that is nobody really likes it, but they all agree that it's good for them. And they all definitely have demonstrated and have commented on significant changes with their running after using the power cranks. Specifically that you can recreate the mechanics and the intensity of running without the impact and the load on the joints. For many of our older athletes, such as Randy Johnson and Bill Miller and a number of guys who've been playing professional baseball for over a dozen years, their joints need a break.
Right, actually a friend of mine who is a pursuit racer and a road racer, he was the one that started on it. And then I had and he rode it because he had bilateral knee surgery. He had one knee done, and then 4 months later had to have another knee done, and he did it to rehab. And he actually knew somebody that let him just have a pair. So he's like, I'm going to try these, and he just loved it. So I'm like, well, and he pedaled. We used to make fun of him profusely because he was the squarest pedaler God ever created. His butt would bounce up and down about 2 inches as he would, especially on the track, when he would go try to spin fast. He looked like he was going to just fly off the saddle. And to watch him smooth out over a period of 6 months was amazing. So it's like, well, if he can straighten out his spin, I've got a pretty good spin already. Maybe I'll try him. So I tried him, and it's been phenomenal.
Yeah, actually the first year I used the cranks, I set the age group record for 38-year-olds in 100 meters at a time of 10.34, so not bad for an old man.
And you didn't grow into that. You didn't suddenly get 35 years old and get better, right, and set that record.
No, I think the cranks was a very integral part in that training, and a lot of it was kind of had to do with an injury I had, some tendonitis in the knee, and looking for an alternative way to supplement my sprint training with a non-impact form of training, and this was a great answer.
So we had hit pretty much every season of athlete with it, and it's been a very big boon to us and helped us a lot with a lot of our injuries and keeping kids on the track cross-training. A lot of with our sprinters, just the level we're at, they need to keep their foot strike down and their turnover going. So we're able to get a high rep, high frequency strengthening on the spike instead of putting her on the track where she's really firing the hamstring and has a tendency to maybe injure herself. We've had 2 basketball players both with ACL injuries that we've had due to rehab on the bike, and the big advantage we've had with this has been almost the adjustable pedals, because one is a very tall athlete and the other one's a mid-sized, my height athlete. And just with the adjustments we're able to do, we're able to keep them both going without putting too much pressure on their knee.
I think from a rehab standpoint, it's going to become a sort of a staple in the diet of all physical therapy clinics. Good machines stand the test of time. The good things last, and I think the power cranks are a good thing that are going to last, especially in a physical therapy rehab setting, even in an athletic training room type setting among the colleges, high schools, and professional teams throughout the country and the world.
Power cranks force the user to become balanced in the core and the lower extremities, both right, left, and fore-aft. In addition, the user cannot develop bad compensatory coordination patterns. Power cranks are unique as a tool for lower extremity rehab. Thanks for paying attention.